I never thought speaking Italian would change my life. The lunch rush at Cerulean had finally slowed to a hum of clinking silverware and muted conversations. My feet ached in these ridiculous heels management's idea of elegant service, and I'd been mentally calculating my tips for the past 20 minutes. Rent was due in 4 days, and I was still 200 short. Signorina? I turned toward table 12, forcing my customer service smile into place. The elderly gentleman sitting there looked lost, his menu unopened, his weathered hands trembling slightly as they rested on the white tablecloth. Yes, sir. Can I help you? He gestured helplessly at the menu, then at me, his eyes apologetic. When he spoke, it was in rapid, frustrated Italian, something about his granddaughter making the reservation, not knowing the menu would be in English, feeling foolish. My smile softened into something real. Non si preoccupi, I said gently, switching languages without thinking. Don't worry. Posso aiutarla. What kind of food do you usually enjoy? His entire face transformed. Relief, joy, gratitude, all of it washing over him as he clutched my hand. You speak Italian. Dio mio, thank you, thank you. I spent the next 10 minutes walking him through the menu in Italian, recommending the ossobuco, describing the wine list, sharing a joke about how American portions could feed a small village. He laughed, truly laughed, and I felt that warm satisfaction that came from making someone's day better. What I didn't feel was the weight of someone's attention burning into my spine. Not until I turned away from table 12. Table 9 sat in the corner, partially obscured by an ornamental divider and the careful shadows that money could buy in a restaurant like this. I'd served that table earlier, or rather, I'd served the 4 men in expensive suits who surrounded one man I couldn't quite see clearly. But I could see him now. He was watching me. Not the casual glance of a bored diner. Not the appreciative look I'd gotten used to deflecting. This was different, focused, absolute, like I'd suddenly become the only thing in the room that mattered. My breath caught. He sat perfectly still, one hand resting on the table, the other holding a glass of whiskey he hadn't touched. Dark hair, dark eyes, a face that could have been carved from marble, beautiful in a way that made my stomach drop. Sharp suit, sharper jawline, and an expression I couldn't read but felt in my bones. Dangerous. Every instinct I'd honed growing up in Brooklyn, every street-smart alarm bell I possessed, started screaming. This was a man who made people disappear, who owned things, businesses, politicians, people, who never heard the word no and wouldn't recognize it if he did. I forced myself to look away, to move to the server station, to breathe normally. Ava, my coworker Melissa, appeared beside me, refilling water glasses. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. Fine, I lied, sneaking another glance toward table 9. He was still watching me. And now God, he was standing, 6 feet of controlled power rising from his chair. His men immediately tensed, hands moving toward their jackets, but he waved them off with the barest gesture. He moved through the restaurant like he owned it. Maybe he did. My heart hammered against my ribs. He stopped at table 12, where my elderly Italian customer was savoring his first bite of ossobuco. I was too far away to hear what was said, but I watched the exchange with growing confusion. The old man looked up, surprised. Recognition flickered across his face, then something that might have been fear, quickly hidden. They spoke for less than a minute. The dangerous man placed his hand briefly on the elderly gentleman's shoulder, a gesture that could have been threatening but somehow wasn't. Then he turned and walked straight toward me. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything but watch him approach with the inevitability of a storm rolling in from the Atlantic. He stopped inches away. Up close, he was devastating, the kind of beautiful that hurt to look at. And his eyes, dark, fathomless, held mine with an intensity that made my knees weak. You speak Italian. His voice was low, controlled, with the barest trace of an accent underneath the practiced American English. Yes, my own voice came out steadier than I felt. Where did you learn? None of your business, I wanted to say. Instead, my grandmother. She was from Tuscany. Something flickered in his expression. You made him feel at home. In a city where he felt lost. He paused, and I swore I saw the ghost of something human beneath that marble exterior. That matters. Before I could respond, he reached into his jacket. Every muscle in my body locked, but he only pulled out a black card, sleek, matte, with a weight that suggested it could buy this entire restaurant. He set it on my serving tray. Your kindness shouldn't cost you, he said quietly. Take care of his bill, whatever he wants. And take care of yourself. Then he leaned in just slightly, and I caught the scent of expensive cologne and something darker. Something that made my pulse race for entirely different reasons. Sei bella quando parli italiano, he murmured. You're beautiful when you speak Italian." He was gone before I could find my voice, his men falling into formation around him as they exited through the restaurant's main doors. Black SUVs were already waiting. I looked down at the card in my trembling hands. No name, no bank, just a single phone number embossed in silver on the back. "Holy shit!" Melissa grabbed my arm. "Do you know who that was?" I shook my head, unable to speak. "That was Dante Caruso." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "He owns half of Manhattan, and the other half is too scared to tell him no." The card felt like it was burning through my skin. I should have thrown it away. Should have forgotten this ever happened. Should have gone back to worrying about rent and tired feet and normal, safe things. But when I got home that night, I didn't throw the card away. I put it in my wallet, right next to my grandmother's photo. And I tried not to think about the way he'd looked at me like I was something precious he'd just discovered he wanted to keep. The flowers arrived at 6:47 a.m. I knew the exact time because I was staring at my phone, debating for the 47th time whether to block the number embossed on that black card. I hadn't slept well. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him, Dante Caruso, watching me with that intensity that felt like being seen for the first time in my life. The knock on my apartment door made me jump so hard I spilled coffee on my shirt. Delivery for Ava Moretti. I opened the door to find a man in a pristine uniform holding an arrangement so massive it barely fit through the doorway. White roses and Italian jasmine, my grandmother's favorite combination. The scent hit me like a memory, sharp and sweet. "I think there's been a mistake," I said, even as my traitorous heart started racing. "No mistake, miss. Sign here, please." My hands shook as I signed. The delivery man disappeared, leaving me alone with 100 questions and flowers that probably cost more than my monthly rent. The card was tucked among the jasmine, thick cream cardstock, with 2 words in bold, masculine handwriting. "Forgive me." No signature. None needed. I should have been angry. Should have felt invaded, stalked, terrified. Instead, I felt something far more dangerous, intrigued. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. "The flowers are an apology for making you uncomfortable yesterday." That wasn't my intention. I stared at the message for a full minute before typing back. "How did you get my address?" The response came immediately. "I could tell you I have resources. But the truth? Your coworker Melissa is very chatty when nervous, and my presence makes everyone nervous." Despite everything, I almost smiled. Then, "You shouldn't have sent these." "I know. I did anyway." "Why?" The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Whatever he was typing, he kept deleting. "Finally, because I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. And I always finish what I start." My breath caught. That should have sounded threatening. Instead, it sounded like a promise. "I'm not interested in whatever this is," I typed, lying through my teeth. "Then block this number. Throw away my card. Pretend yesterday never happened." I stared at his words, finger hovering over the block button. I didn't press it. "That's what I thought," came his next message. "Dinner, tonight. I'll send a car at 7. No, Ava, just my name. But the way he wrote it made my stomach flip. "I don't know you," I sent back. "You could be anyone. Dangerous. A killer." The response came faster than I expected. "I am dangerous. I have killed. But never someone who didn't deserve it, and never someone I cared about. And I'm beginning to care about you, which should terrify us both." My phone slipped from my hands. Honesty, raw, brutal honesty that most men would have hidden behind flowers and charm. He wasn't pretending to be safe. Wasn't lying about what he was. I picked up my phone with shaking hands. "Why me?" "Because you looked at an old man and saw someone's grandfather instead of just another table. Because you spoke to him in the language of his childhood and gave him dignity. Because in a room full of people trying to impress me or fear me, you didn't even know I existed until I made you notice." I read it 3 times, my chest tight. "And because," he continued, "when you finally did look at me, you weren't impressed or afraid. You were cautious, intelligent, aware of danger but not controlled by it. Do you know how rare that is in my world?" "Your world isn't my world," I typed. "Not yet." Those 2 words hung in the air like a threat and a promise wrapped together. I spent the rest of the day trying to convince myself I wouldn't go. I had a shift at Cerulean starting at noon, a double that wouldn't end until 10. I told myself that was a perfect excuse. But at 6:55 p.m., after I'd closed out my last table and changed out of my uniform in the restaurant bathroom, I found myself standing on the curb outside Cerulean. At exactly 7 p.m., a black Mercedes pulled up. The driver stepped out, older, professional, with the kind of face that had seen everything and judged nothing. "Miss Moretti, Mr. Caruso is waiting." Where? My voice barely worked. His home. I assure you, you're completely safe. You have my word. The word of a man who works for a... I stopped myself. Mafia boss? The driver's lips twitched. Yes, but Mr. Caruso gave me explicit instructions. You're to be treated with the utmost respect, and if at any point you wish to leave, I'm to bring you home immediately. No questions asked. He opened the door, waiting. This was insane. Reckless. The kind of thing that got smart girls killed or worse. I got in the car. We drove through Manhattan as the city transformed from business district to luxury high-rises, finally pulling up to a building that screamed old money and older secrets. The penthouse elevator required a keycard. The doors opened directly into his apartment. He was standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows, hands in his pockets, looking out at the city lights spread below like conquered territory. He'd changed from the suit I'd seen him in, now wearing dark slacks and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. Somehow, he looked more dangerous this way. More human. He turned when I entered, and the look on his face stole my breath. Relief. Genuine, raw relief. You came, he said softly. I'm probably going to regret this. Probably. He moved toward me slowly, giving me time to run if I wanted to. But I promise you, Ava, whatever happens between us, you'll never regret meeting me. Bold claim from a man I don't know. He stopped an arm's length away, close enough that I could see the flecks of amber in his dark eyes. Then let me fix that, he said. Ask me anything. I'll tell you the truth. I lifted my chin, challenging. Are you a killer? Yes. No hesitation. No sugarcoating. Does it bother you? I pressed. He held my gaze. It used to. Now it's just what I am. And what exactly are you, Dante Caruso? His lips curved into something too sharp to be a smile. I'm the monster who just realized he wants to be human again. And despite every warning bell in my head, I believed him. The dining table could have seated 12. Instead, 2 places were set at one end, intimate and deliberate. Dante pulled out my chair himself, a gesture that should have felt outdated, but instead felt intentional, as if every movement he made carried weight and meaning. You're nervous, he observed, taking his seat across from me. You're observant. Occupational requirement. He poured wine, something red and probably worth more than my car. In my line of work, missing details gets people killed. Comforting dinner conversation. His mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Would you prefer I lie? Pretend I'm something I'm not? I met his eyes. No, I appreciate the honesty actually. It's rare. So are you. The way he said it made heat pool in my stomach. I took a sip of wine to buy myself time. It tasted like velvet and sin. A woman appeared from the kitchen, older, stern-faced, but her eyes softened when she looked at Dante. She set down plates of homemade pasta that made my mouth water. Grazie, Elena, Dante said in perfect Italian. She nodded and disappeared, but not before giving me a look I couldn't quite decipher. Curiosity? Warning? Approval? She's been with your family a long time, I guessed. Since I was 8. She knew my mother. Something flickered across his face, there and gone. She's one of 3 people in this world I trust completely. Who are the other 2? My brother Marco, and my driver, Vincent, the man who brought you here. That's a very short list. It's kept me alive. He took a bite of pasta, watching me over the rim of his wine glass. Your turn. Tell me something true about Ava Moretti. I twirled pasta on my fork, considering. Like what? Why a woman who speaks fluent Italian and clearly comes from education is working as a waitress in Manhattan. My defenses rose instantly. Maybe I like being a waitress. Maybe. He didn't sound convinced. Or maybe you're running from something. Hiding. Trying to be invisible in a city of 8 million people. My fork clattered against the plate. You don't know anything about me. I know you live in a 4th-floor walk-up in Hell's Kitchen that costs too much for what you make. I know you send money to someone every month, family. Probably. I know you have a degree in linguistics from Columbia, but dropped out of the graduate program 3 years ago. He paused. And I know something happened that made you stop using that brilliant mind for anything except memorizing menu specials. I stood up so fast, my chair scraped against the hardwood. This was a mistake. Sit down, Ava. Don't tell me what to. Please. The single word stopped me. Please sit down. I'm not trying to intimidate you. I'm trying to understand you. By having me investigated? Yes. No apology in his voice. I wanted to know who you were, what you needed. If you were a threat or if... He stopped himself. If what? He stood, moving around the table toward me. I should have backed away. Instead, I stayed rooted to the spot as he approached. If you were real, he said quietly. If this feeling I have when I look at you is real, or if I've finally lost my mind. What feeling? He stopped inches away, close enough that I could see the war happening behind his eyes, control versus chaos, power versus vulnerability. Like I've been holding my breath for years and suddenly remembered how to breathe. My heart pounded so hard I was sure he could hear it. That's insane. I know. He lifted his hand, slowly, giving me every chance to pull away. His fingers brushed my cheek, gentle despite the calluses I could feel there. I've built an empire on cold calculation. I don't believe in fate or destiny or love at first sight, but then you happened. I served you pasta. You showed kindness to a stranger. You spoke the language of my mother. You looked at me like I was dangerous, but not like I was a monster. His thumb traced my jawline, and for the first time in 15 years, I wanted to be something other than what I am. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Dante, you asked me what I am, he continued. I'll tell you. My father built this empire on blood and fear. When he died, I inherited both. I've done things that would make you sick, ordered deaths, destroyed lives, protected my own by ending others. His eyes held mine, unflinching. I am exactly what you think I am. But when you look at me, I want to be better. I can't save you, I whispered. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to let me know you, to give me a chance to be something other than the monster the world needs me to be. And if I can't, if this is too much, his hand dropped away. Then Vincent will take you home, and you'll never see me again. I won't contact you, won't send flowers, won't show up at your work. He stepped back, giving me space. It will be like I never existed. The thought of going back to my small apartment, my double shifts, my careful, invisible life suddenly felt unbearable. I send money to my mother, I heard myself say. She's in a care facility upstate. Early onset dementia. The bills are astronomical, and my father left us with nothing but debt when he disappeared. The words spilled out like a confession. I dropped out of grad school to take care of her, to work, to survive. And I became a waitress because it paid cash, and didn't ask questions, and let me be no one. Dante's expression shifted, softened. You're not no one, Ava. You're... He stopped himself, jaw tightening. I'm what? He looked at me with an intensity that made my knees weak. You're going to ruin me. I can feel it. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and every soft line in his face turned to stone. What is it? I asked. Someone just tried to kill my brother. He was already moving toward the door, pulling on a jacket that I now realized concealed a gun. Stay here, he ordered. Elena will keep you safe. Vincent will take you home when... No. He froze. Excuse me? If someone's trying to hurt your family, they might come here. I'm not staying in your apartment like bait while you're gone. This isn't a debate? Ava. I grabbed my purse. You're right, it's not. Either I leave with Vincent now, or I'm walking out of this building alone. Your choice. For a long moment, we stared at each other. Then something that might have been respect flickered in his eyes. Vincent! He called. His driver appeared immediately. Take her home. Stay with her. No one gets near her building, understand? Yes, sir. Dante turned back to me. And before I could process what was happening, he cupped my face in both hands and pressed his forehead to mine. I will come back to you, he said fiercely. And when I do, we finish this conversation. Then he was gone, leaving me shaking in the doorway with Vincent's hand on my elbow and the taste of danger still on my tongue. Vincent insisted on checking my entire apartment before letting me inside. I watched him move through my cramped space with professional efficiency, checking windows, closets, even under my bed. It would have been embarrassing if I wasn't so exhausted. All clear, he finally announced. I'll be right outside your door. That's really not necessary. With respect, Miss Moretti. It absolutely is. His weathered face was kind but immovable. Someone just made a move against the Caruso family. Until we know who and why, anyone connected to Mr. Dante is a potential target. I'm not connected to him. We had one dinner. Vincent's expression suggested he knew better. I've worked for that man for 12 years. I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looked at you tonight. Heat crept up my neck. He barely knows me. Maybe. But in our world, Miss Moretti, knowing someone is a luxury. Feeling something real, that's rarer than diamonds. He moved toward the door. I'll be right outside. You need anything, just knock. After he left, I stood in my tiny apartment that suddenly felt even smaller. The flowers Dante had sent dominated my kitchen counter, filling the space with jasmine and questions I didn't want to answer. I tried to sleep. Failed. At 2 a.m., I was staring at my ceiling, replaying every moment of the evening, when my phone lit up. Marco's alive, stable. It was a professional hit. They knew his route, his security detail. Relief flooded through me, followed immediately by fear. Are you okay? Physically? Yes. Otherwise? A pause. I keep thinking about you in that apartment with only Vincent between you and whoever wants my family dead. Vincent seems capable. He is. But I'd feel better if you were here, where I could protect you myself. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. This was crazy. We'd known each other for 48 hours. I should have been running in the opposite direction. You can't protect me from your whole world, Dante. Watch me. 2 words. Absolute. Undeniable. Get some sleep, I typed. We'll talk tomorrow. Tomorrow, he agreed. Sweet dreams, Ava. But my dreams weren't sweet. They were filled with gunfire and blood and dark eyes that saw too much. I woke to Vincent knocking on my door at 6 a.m. Miss Moretti, we have a situation. I threw on clothes and opened the door to find him looking grim. What kind of situation? The kind where Mr. Dante wants you somewhere safer than this building. He handed me a coffee, my exact order from the shop down the street. He's sending a car. You have 10 minutes to pack. Pack? I have work today. I can't just... Your manager received a call an hour ago. Family emergency. You're covered for the week. I stared at him. He called my work? He can't just... He can. And he did. Miss Moretti, someone tried to kill his brother last night. These people are dangerous, and they're thorough. If they've been watching Dante, they might have seen him with you. Vincent's expression softened. Please, let us keep you safe. 20 minutes later, I was in the back of the Mercedes with a hastily packed bag, watching my neighborhood disappear behind tinted windows. Where are we going? Somewhere secure, Vincent said. Mister. Dante will meet you there. Somewhere secure turned out to be an estate in Westchester that looked like it belonged in a movie. High walls, armed guards, technology I couldn't begin to understand. Dante was waiting in the circular driveway, still wearing last night's clothes, exhaustion etched into every line of his face. He opened my door himself, his eyes scanning me like he was checking for injuries. You're angry, he observed. You think? I stepped out, facing him. You called my work, had me followed, decided where I'd be safest without asking me. Yes. That's all you have to say? Yes? Would you prefer I apologize for keeping you alive? His voice was sharp with exhaustion and stress. Someone tried to kill Marco because he's my brother, because being connected to me makes you a target. So yes, Ava, I made decisions without your permission. Because the alternative is finding your body in that apartment. The raw fear in his voice stopped my anger cold. Dante, don't. He ran a hand through his hair. Don't tell me I'm overreacting. Don't tell me you can take care of yourself. I know you can. But these people, his jaw tightened. They don't fight fair. They don't care about honor or innocence. They'll use you to hurt me, and he stopped, looking away. You what? When he looked back, the vulnerability in his eyes broke something in my chest. I can't lose something I just found. The words hung between us, raw and honest and terrifying. A man in a suit approached. Boss, we've secured the perimeter. The family's waiting inside. Dante nodded, then turned back to me. Come inside. Meet my family. Then if you want to leave, I won't stop you. Promise? I promise. But Ava? He stepped closer, his hand coming up to brush my cheek. Stay. Please stay. The main house was elegant chaos. Dante's mother, a striking woman with silver hair and sharp eyes, was orchestrating security arrangements in rapid Italian. His brother Marco sat on a leather couch, bandaged but alive, being fussed over by an older man I assumed was a family doctor. And then there was the young woman in the corner, maybe 25, watching me with undisguised suspicion. Who's this? She asked Dante, her accent pure Brooklyn despite her designer clothes. Ava Moretti. Ava, my cousin Lucia, the waitress. Lucia's tone made it sound like an insult. Lucia, Dante's voice carried a warning. What? We're under attack, and you bring some random woman into the safe house? How do we know she's not? Enough. The single word from Dante silenced the room. His mother turned, studying me with eyes exactly like her son's. Then she spoke in Italian, rapid and sharp. Dante responded in the same language, his tone unyielding. His mother's eyebrows rose. She looked at me again, this time with something that might have been approval. Welcome, Ava Moretti, she said in accented English. Any woman who makes my son forget himself is worth meeting. Mama, Dante warned. She ignored him, gesturing to the couch. Sit, eat. You're family now, whether you know it or not. I caught Dante's eye. Family? His expression was equal parts apology and possession. In my world, Ava, protection means belonging. And I protect what's mine. I'm not yours. Not yet, he said quietly. But you will be. The estate had 12 bedrooms. Dante gave me the one next to his. For safety, he said. But the way his eyes lingered on my mouth suggested safety wasn't all he was thinking about. I spent the afternoon in strange limbo, surrounded by luxury and danger in equal measure. Lucia continued to watch me with suspicion. Marco, despite his injuries, tried to make me laugh with stories about Dante as a teenager. And Dante's mother, Vittoria, studied me like I was a puzzle she was determined to solve. You speak like someone from Tuscany, she observed over afternoon coffee. Your grandmother? Yes. She raised me as much as my mother did. And your father? The question hit like a blade. Gone. Vittoria's expression softened with understanding. In this life, men leave in many ways. Sometimes it's better than the alternative. I thought of my father, the gambling debts, the threats, the night he disappeared and never came back. Sometimes, you care for your mother, Dante told me. Heat flooded my cheeks. He told you about that? He tells me very little these days. But you, he talks about. She leaned forward. My son is not a good man, Ava. He does bad things for good reasons. Yes, but the blood on his hands is still blood. You understand this? I'm beginning to, and yet you're still here. He didn't give me much choice. Sayokezi. Nonsense. Dante brought you here, yes, but you stayed because you wanted to, because something in him calls to something in you. Her eyes were too knowing. The question is, can you love a man like him without losing yourself? Before I could answer, alarms blared through the house. Dante appeared instantly, gun drawn, his entire demeanor transformed. This wasn't the man who'd touched my face gently or sent me flowers. This was the apex predator. Upstairs. Now. He grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the stairs. Vincent! His driver appeared, armed. South perimeter. 3 vehicles. Unknown. Get Marco and my mother to the safe room. Ava goes with them. No, his mother said sharply. If they're here for us, we face them together. I did not raise a son who hides behind women. Mama, take your girl upstairs, Dante. Keep her safe. We'll handle this. The way she said, your girl, made my heart stutter. But there was no time to protest. Dante was already moving, dragging me up the stairs to his bedroom. He locked the door, checked his gun, then positioned himself by the window where he could see the driveway. Get in the bathroom. Lock the door. If anyone comes through that isn't me, there's a gun in the cabinet under the sink. Dante. Ava. He looked at me, and the fear in his eyes was almost worse than the danger outside. Please. I can't think straight if I'm worried about you. I need to know you're safe. I moved to the bathroom but stopped at the door. Be careful. Always am. His lips curved into something too sharp to be a smile. I have something to live for now. From the bathroom, I could hear everything. Shouts in Italian. The sound of vehicles. Dante's voice, cold and commanding, speaking into a phone. Then silence. Horrible, stretching silence. The bathroom door opened. I grabbed the gun from the cabinet, hands shaking. Finger on the trigger. It's me, Dante's voice. Don't shoot. I lowered the weapon as he stepped inside, looking exhausted but unharmed. What happened? False alarm. Security contractor running a drill without clearing it with us first. He took the gun from my hands, checking the safety. You know how to use this? My grandfather taught me. Of course he did. He set the gun aside, then pulled me into his arms without warning. I froze, then slowly relaxed into him, feeling his heart hammer against my cheek. I thought, his voice was rough. When those alarms went off, all I could think was that I'd brought you into this, that you'd get hurt because of me. I'm fine. This time. He pulled back enough to look at me. But next time, the time after that, Ava, this is my life. Constant danger, constant threats. People trying to kill me or hurt the people I... He stopped himself. The people you what? His hand came up to cup my face. The people I care about. You barely know me, Dante. I know enough. I know you're brave and kind and too smart for your own good. I know you speak 3 languages and hate wearing heels. I know you send every spare dollar to your mother and eat pasta for dinner 4 nights a week because it's cheap. His thumb traced my lower lip. I know that when you look at me, you see a man, not just a monster. And I know— What? I know I'm falling for you. And it's the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced. My breath caught. Dante. Don't. His forehead pressed against mine. Don't tell me all the reasons this is impossible. I know them. I've listed them 1,000 times. But when I'm with you, Ava, I feel human again. Like maybe there's more to me than blood and violence and protecting my family's empire. What if there isn't? I whispered. What if this is all you can be? Then at least I'll have known what it felt like to want something good. The kiss happened without decision. His lips on mine, gentle at first, then desperate like he was drowning and I was air. I kissed him back, hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. He backed me against the bathroom counter, his body a solid wall of heat and muscle, his hands in my hair, on my waist, everywhere and nowhere near enough. Ava, he breathed against my mouth. Tell me to stop. No, he groaned, deepening the kiss. And I felt myself falling into him, into this, into something that felt inevitable and terrifying, and absolutely right. A knock on the bedroom door shattered the moment. Boss, Vincent's voice. We've got a problem. The real kind. Dante pulled away, breathing hard, his eyes dark with desire and frustration. What kind? He called. The kind where the Rossi family just declared war. The war room was exactly what it sounded like. Maps of the city on the walls, security feeds on monitors, and 10 dangerous men seated around a table discussing murder like it was a business transaction. Because for them, it was. I sat in the corner, officially invisible, practically vibrating with tension. Dante had insisted I stay. If you're in this house, you're in this meeting. No more hiding you from what I am. His underboss, a man named Sal with a scar bisecting his left eyebrow, was midway through a territorial breakdown. The Rossis hit 3 of our distribution points in Brooklyn. Small fires, easy to put out, but the message is clear: they're testing our response time. They're testing our resolve, Marco corrected from his position on the couch. Despite his injuries, he'd refused to miss the meeting. Antonio Rossi thinks we're weak because we haven't retaliated for the attempt on my life. We didn't know it was them, Dante said quietly. Too quietly. I was learning that when his voice dropped, people got nervous. We do now. Their lieutenant was caught on camera fleeing the scene. Sal slid a photo across the table. Tony the Bull Marchetti, Rossi's top enforcer. Dante studied the photo with the intensity of a predator identifying prey. Where is he now? Gone to ground, but we're looking. Look harder. Dante's eyes lifted to his assembled men. The Rossis want a war. We'll give them one. But on our terms. Our timeline. I want every movement they make documented, every business they touch identified, every person in their organization cataloged. And then? Sal asked. And then we dismantle them piece by piece until Antonio Rossi is begging me to accept his surrender. The cold calculation in his voice sent chills down my spine. This was the man who'd built an empire on fear. This was the monster everyone warned you about. And I'd kissed him an hour ago. What about the girl? Lucia spoke up from across the room. She'd been watching me with undisguised hostility. She's a liability. The Rossis find out about her. They'll use her against you. The girl has a name, Dante said, his tone dangerous. And she stays. Dante, think. I said she stays. He didn't raise his voice. Didn't have to. Anyone who touches her answers to me. Anyone who even thinks about using her to get to me will wish they hadn't. Am I clear? Silence filled the room. Then, one by one, the men nodded. All except Lucia. You're letting your dick make decisions. It's going to get us all killed. Marco laughed outright. Luce, you've got balls. I'll give you that. But Dante's expression didn't change. Vincent, take Ava back to her room. I can walk myself. Please. He looked at me. And beneath the cold exterior, I saw the plea. Let me handle this. Don't make me choose between protecting you and maintaining control. I stood, letting Vincent escort me out. But not before I heard Lucia's voice, sharp and accusing. She's making you soft, Dante. And soft gets you killed in this world. Vincent deposited me in my assigned bedroom, the one next to Dante's, connected by a door I hadn't realized existed. He won't hurt her, Vincent said quietly, reading my expression. But he will remind her who's in charge. How? With words. Dante doesn't need violence to make people fall in line. Not with family. After he left, I paced the elegant bedroom, feeling like a bird in a gilded cage. This wasn't my world. These weren't my people. I should have been terrified. Instead, I felt alive in a way I hadn't since before my father left. before my mother got sick, before life became about survival instead of living. The connecting door opened without warning. Dante stepped through, exhaustion and anger warring across his features. He'd loosened his tie, rolled up his sleeves, and somehow looked even more dangerous than he had in the war room. "You shouldn't be here," he said. "You let me in. I mean, in this house, in this life, with me." He moved to the window, staring out at the estate grounds. "Lucia's right. You're a liability I can't afford." The words stung more than they should have. "Then let me leave." "I can't do that either." He turned to face me, because despite everything, the danger, the violence, the fact that being near me could get you killed, I can't let you go. That's not fair to either of us. "I know." He crossed to me in 3 strides, his hands framing my face. "Nothing about this is fair. You should have stayed a beautiful stranger who spoke Italian to an old man. I should have left you alone, but I didn't. And now we're here. And Ava," his voice cracked, "I don't know how to protect you from my world except to keep you in it. What if I don't need protecting? Everyone needs protecting from men like me." I reached up, covering his hands with mine. "Then protect me, but don't push me away. You don't understand what you're asking. I'm asking you to let me make my own choices, to stop deciding what's best for me, and let me decide for myself. And if you choose wrong, if you get hurt because I wasn't strong enough to walk away, then that's my mistake to make." I held his gaze. "I'm not some fragile thing that needs to be locked away, Dante. I've survived absent fathers and sick mothers and crushing debt. I can survive you." Something that might have been hope flickered in his eyes. "Can you survive us?" "I don't know," I admitted, "but I'd like to try." He kissed me then, soft and slow and desperate, like I was oxygen and he'd been drowning. His hands slid into my hair, tilting my head back, deepening the kiss until I couldn't tell where I ended and he began. When he pulled away, we were both breathing hard. "Stay with me tonight," he whispered. "Just sleep, nothing else." I need to know you're close." I should have said no. Should have maintained boundaries, kept distance, protected my heart. Instead, I took his hand. "Okay." His relief was palpable. He led me through the connecting door to his bedroom, a space that was somehow both luxurious and sparse, revealing nothing about the man who slept there. We lay down together, fully clothed, his arm around my waist, my back pressed to his chest. "This is insane," I whispered. "I know." His breath was warm against my neck. "But with you, Ava, I think I like insane." I fell asleep feeling safer than I had in years, in the arms of the most dangerous man I'd ever met. And somewhere in the distance, war was coming. I woke to shouting. Dante was already gone, the sheets beside me cold. Voices filtered through the walls, angry, accusatory, speaking rapid Italian too fast for my sleep-fogged brain to follow. I threw on the clothes from yesterday and opened the door to find chaos. Marco was standing in the hallway, pointing at a man I didn't recognize, mid-40s, expensive suit, the kind of polish that came from old money and older secrets. "You're telling me this isn't your doing?" Marco demanded. "That it's coincidence?" "I'm telling you I had nothing to do with the leak," the man shot back. "What leak?" I asked. Everyone turned. Marco's expression was grim. "Ava, you should go back inside." "What leak?" I repeated, voice harder. Dante appeared at the top of the stairs, his expression carved from ice. When he saw me, something flickered in his eyes, regret, maybe, or dread. "Tell her," he said quietly. The stranger studied me with cold assessment. "Someone told the Rossis about you. Your name, your address, your mother's care facility. Everything." The world tilted. "What?" "There's a mole in our organization," Dante said, his voice carefully controlled. "Someone who's been feeding the Rossis information. And last night they gave them you." Fear flooded through me. "My mother is safe. I've had people watching her facility since you arrived here. They doubled security an hour ago." He moved down the stairs, his eyes never leaving mine. "You're safe too. But Ava, the Rossis know you exist. They know you matter to me, and they'll use that." "How?" My voice was barely a whisper. The stranger, I now realized he was some kind of lawyer or consigliere, spoke up. "They'll threaten your mother, use her as leverage to get to Dante. Or worse." He paused, glancing at Dante. "Say it," Dante commanded. "Or they'll take you, hurt you. Make sure Dante knows exactly what they're doing to you. It's their style. Personal, brutal, designed to break men who can't be broken any other way." I couldn't breathe. This was real. Not some movie or book, but actual, visceral danger aimed at me and the woman who'd given birth to me. "I need to leave," I heard myself say. I need to go somewhere they can't find me. No. Dante's voice was absolute. You can't keep me prisoner. I'm not keeping you prisoner. I'm keeping you alive. He turned to Marco. Find the mole. I don't care how. Use every resource we have. Dante, Marco started. Now Marco. After everyone dispersed, Dante took my hand and led me to his study, a room dominated by dark wood and darker secrets. He closed the door, then leaned against it, looking more exhausted than I'd ever seen him. I should have known this would happen, he said quietly. Should have been more careful. Should have kept you at arm's length instead of… He stopped. Instead of what? Instead of falling in love with you. The words hit like a physical blow. Dante, I know. It's too soon, too fast, too everything. He pushed off the door, moving toward me. But it's true. Somewhere between watching you speak Italian to a stranger and holding you while you slept, I fell in love with you, Ava Moretti. And now that love might get you killed. Tears burned my eyes. You can't love me. You don't even know me. I know enough. I know you're brave and kind and loyal. I know you sacrifice everything for your mother. I know you see the humanity in people everyone else overlooks. His hands cupped my face. I know that when I'm with you, I remember what it feels like to be more than this empire. But you are this empire. It's who you are. Is it? His laugh was bitter. Or is it just what I became to survive my father's death? To protect my family? To keep the vultures from tearing apart everything he built? I don't know, do you? He was silent for a long moment. Then, I used to, before you. Now I don't know anything except that I can't lose you. My phone rang my mother's facility. My heart stopped. Answer it, Dante said. My hands shook as I pressed the button. Hello? Miss Moretti? This is Karen from Willowbrook. Your mother is fine, but we've had some unusual visitors today asking about her. Men in suits who claim to be insurance investigators. Were they armed? Dante asked, taking the phone from me and putting it on speaker. Who is this? Someone who wants to keep Mrs. Moretti safe. Were they armed? I couldn't tell, but they made our staff nervous. We didn't give them any information. But Miss Moretti, I think you should know. We're moving her, Dante interrupted. Today, to a private facility with actual security. Pack her things. We'll have people there within the hour. Sir, I don't have authorization. You do now. Ava, I couldn't speak, couldn't process, couldn't do anything except nod. Send the authorization, Dante continued. And Karen? If anyone else comes asking about Mrs. Moretti, you tell them she's already been discharged. Understand? Yes, sir. He hung up, then immediately dialed another number. Vincent, I need a medical transport team at Willowbrook within the hour. Full security detail. We're moving Ava's mother to the private facility in Connecticut. He rattled off more instructions, efficient and commanding, while I stood frozen. This was real. This was happening. My mother, my gentle, confused mother who didn't even remember my name most days, was in danger because I'd caught the attention of a Mafia boss. When Dante finished his call, he turned to find me crying. Ava, this is my fault. I should have walked away. Should have blocked your number, thrown away your card, pretended we never met. But you didn't. No, I didn't. And now my mother. A sob broke free. He pulled me into his arms, and I let myself break against his chest, let myself feel every ounce of fear and regret and impossible hope that had been building since the moment he'd looked at me across that restaurant. I will keep her safe, he promised fiercely. I will keep you both safe. Whatever it costs, whatever I have to do, you have my word, Ava. On my life, on my family's legacy, on everything I am, I will protect you. I pulled back enough to look at him. And who protects you? His smile was heartbreaking. For the first time in my life, someone who wants to. Outside, engines roared to life. The transport team, mobilizing. And somewhere in the city, the Rossis were planning their next move. The war had begun, and I was the prize. The Connecticut facility was less hospital, more fortress. My mother had been installed in a suite that looked like a luxury hotel room, complete with nursing staff who were, I was certain, armed. She'd been asleep during the transfer, sedated for the journey, and was now resting peacefully while I sat beside her bed, holding her hand. She didn't know me, hadn't known me in almost a year, but I told myself she could feel my presence, that on some level, she knew her daughter was there. She's safe here, Dante spoke from the doorway. He'd been giving me space, but I could feel his concern like a physical weight. The best security money can buy. Medical staff on call 24 hours, Anything she needs. Thank you. My voice cracked. You didn't have to do this. Yes, I did. He moved into the room, standing beside my chair. She's important to you. That makes her important to me. I looked up at him, this dangerous, complicated man who'd upended my entire life in less than a week. Why? Why what? Why do you care? Really, you could have anyone. Women who understand your world, who come from families like yours, who wouldn't bring complications. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he knelt beside my chair, bringing himself to eye level. My father died when I was 19, he said quietly. Killed by the Colombo family in a power play that should have destroyed us. I was supposed to go to university that fall. Instead, I inherited an empire built on blood. I stayed silent, letting him talk. Marco was 16, terrified. My mother was broken. And he paused. I became what I had to become. Hard, cold, capable of violence without hesitation. I told myself it was temporary, that once things stabilized, I'd find a way out. But there is no out, Ava. Not in this life. Then why tell me this? Because you asked why I care. His hand covered mine. For 15 years, I've been a weapon my family wielded. I've made decisions that haunt me, hurt people, destroyed lives. And every single day, I've felt myself becoming less human and more monster. Tears pricked my eyes. Dante, then I saw you speak Italian to an old man like it was the most natural thing in the world. Like kindness cost nothing. Like people still mattered more than power. His voice roughened. And for the first time since my father died, I wanted to be human again. I can't save you from what you are. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to remind me that what I am isn't all I am. He stood, pulling me up with him. The Rossis want a war. They'll get one. But Ava, when this is over, if we survive this, I want to try. To be something more than my father's legacy. And if you can't, then at least I'll have tried. Because of you. He kissed me then, soft and achingly gentle, like I was something precious he'd just learned how to hold. When he pulled away, his forehead rested against mine. Stay here tonight. With your mother. Vincent will guard the door. Tomorrow we end this. How? By giving the Rosses exactly what they want. His smile was sharp. Me. That night, I dreamed of darkness and gunfire. I woke to find Dante standing by the window, fully dressed, gun holstered at his side. Dawn was just breaking. You're leaving. It wasn't a question. Marco found the mole. One of Sal's men, someone the Rossis turned months ago. He didn't look at me. We're meeting with Antonio Rossi in 2 hours. Neutral ground. Supervised by the commission. The commission? The 5 families who run this city. When 2 groups go to war, the commission mediates, tries to prevent all-out bloodshed. Finally he turned. If this goes well, it ends today. If it doesn't, don't. I stood, moving to him. Don't say it. Ava. No. You don't get to kiss me like that, tell me you love me, and then walk into a meeting that might get you killed. My hands fisted in his shirt. You don't get to make me care and then disappear? I'm trying to keep you safe. I am safe. You made sure of that. Now who keeps you safe? His laugh was bitter. In my world there is no safe. Only degrees of danger. Then I want to be there. At the meeting. Absolutely not. Dante. Ava, these men don't play by rules, you understand. They'd see you as weakness, as leverage, as the woman you love? I challenged. Because that's what I am, isn't it? You said it yourself. He stared at me, jaw tight. Yes. Then let me stand beside you. Not behind you. Not locked away in some safe house. Beside you. I can't protect you if you're in the room. Maybe I don't need protecting. Maybe I need to see who you really are when the mask comes off. For a long moment, we stood there, wills clashing, hearts breaking, both of us terrified for different reasons. If I let you come, he said slowly, you follow my lead. You don't speak unless spoken to. You don't react to anything you hear. And if I tell you to leave, you leave. No questions. Deal, Ava. Deal, Dante. Take it or leave it. He pulled me against him, holding me so tight I could barely breathe. You're going to be the death of me, or the saving of you. We'll see. 3 hours later, I stood in a warehouse in Red Hook, surrounded by men who looked like they'd stepped out of a Scorsese film. The commission sat at a long table, 5 old men representing the 5 families, their faces weathered by decades of secrets and sins. Antonio Rossi stood across from Dante, flanked by his own men. He was younger than I'd expected, maybe 45, with the kind of handsome that made you forget he was dangerous until it was too late. So, Antonio said, his eyes sliding to me with open interest. This is what started a war. I can see the appeal, Caruso. Dante's hand tightened on my waist, a warning, a claim, a promise of violence if Antonio stepped out of line. Let's skip the posturing, Dante said coldly. You hit my brother, targeted my family, tried to use this woman against me. The commission knows the truth. So tell me, Antonio, how do you want to die? Antonio smiled. Bold words from a man who brought his weakness to a negotiation. She's not my weakness. Dante's voice dropped to something lethal. She's my line in the sand, and you just crossed it. The warehouse went deadly silent, and I realized this meeting wasn't about negotiation. It was about war. Gentlemen. The commission's head, a man they called Don Vitale, raised his hand. This is neutral ground. There will be no bloodshed here. Then what do you propose? Dante asked, never taking his eyes off Antonio. A settlement. The Rossis pay restitution for the attempt on Marco's life. You, in turn, cede territory in Brooklyn. Specifically the waterfront holdings your father took from Antonio's uncle 20 years ago. No. Dante's voice was flat. My father won the waterfront fairly. I'm not giving it back because Antonio can't accept defeat. Antonio laughed. Fairly? Your father murdered my uncle in his own home, in front of his children. There's nothing fair about that. Your uncle tried to kill my father first. He failed. That's not murder, Antonio. That's survival. And this? Antonio gestured to me. This little waitress you're parading around like a trophy, is she survival too? Or have you finally found something worth dying for? Dante moved so fast I barely saw it. 1 second he was beside me, the next he had Antonio by the throat, gun pressed under his chin. Say her name, Dante growled. Say it, and I'll show you exactly what I'm willing to die for. Dante. Don Vitale stood. This is neutral ground. But Dante wasn't listening. His eyes were locked on Antonio, and I saw something terrifying in them, the complete absence of restraint. She's not part of this, Dante continued, his voice deadly calm. She's not leverage. She's not a target. She's the one good thing in my entire godforsaken life. And if you think I'll let you touch her, you're even stupider than your uncle. Dante. I spoke quietly, moving toward him. Let him go. Ava. Please. Something in my voice reached him. He released Antonio, stepping back. But the gun stayed trained on him. Antonio rubbed his throat, his expression murderous. You'll regret that, Caruso. I regret nothing when it comes to her. Don Vitale sighed heavily. This is getting us nowhere. We need a solution both parties can accept. There is one. I spoke before I could stop myself. Every eye in the room turned to me. Dante's expression was pure horror. Ava, no. You want the waterfront? I continued, addressing Antonio. You want to hurt Dante where it counts? Ava, stop talking. Dante's voice was low, warning. I ignored him. Then here's my offer. I'll disappear. Leave the city. Cut all contact with Dante. You get what you want him without me. And in return, this ends. No more war. No more bloodshed. No more targeting his family. The silence that followed was deafening. Then Dante's laugh, sharp, bitter, breaking. Absolutely not. It's the only way. I said no. He grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the exit. We're leaving. Dante, listen to me. No, you listen to me. He spun me to face him, and the raw agony in his eyes nearly broke me. You think I'd trade you for peace? For territory? For anything? Your family. Will survive. They always do. But I won't survive losing you. His hands framed my face. Ava, I've spent 15 years making impossible choices, sacrificing pieces of my soul for the greater good. But this? His voice cracked. I can't do this. I won't. Then what do? We fight. Together. He turned back to the commission. The Rossis want war? They'll get war, but it won't be clean, it won't be controlled. And when it's over, there won't be a Rossi family left to negotiate with. Don Vitale stood. Dante, think carefully. I'm done thinking. I'm done negotiating. I'm done pretending there's a civilized way to handle animals who threaten the woman I love. He raised his gun, pointing it directly at Antonio. So here's my counteroffer. Walk away now. Forget you ever heard her name. Forget you ever thought you could use her against me. And maybe I'll let you keep breathing. You can't kill me on neutral ground, Antonio sneered. The commission doesn't matter anymore. Dante's voice was ice. You crossed a line, Antonio, and for that you're already dead. The only question is when. Security rushed in the commission's men, trying to restore order. In the chaos, Dante grabbed my hand and pulled me toward a side exit. We ran, down corridors that smelled like oil and rust, through loading bays filled with shipping containers, finally bursting out into blinding sunlight where Vincent waited with the car. Go, go, go! Dante shoved me into the back seat, diving in after me. Vincent floored it, tires screeching as we peeled away from the warehouse. Behind us, gunfire erupted. Dante covered my body with his, glass shattering as bullets punctured the rear window. Vincent swerved, taking corners at impossible speeds, weaving through traffic with the precision of someone who'd done this before. Finally, after what felt like hours but was probably minutes, we pulled into an underground garage. Vincent killed the engine. Silence. Dante slowly sat up, checking me for injuries. Are you hurt? I shook my head, unable to speak. Vincent? Fine, boss. But we've got a problem. That was an ambush. Antonio knew we'd run. He had men positioned. The mole? Maybe. Or maybe we've got more than one. Dante's expression went ice cold. Then we burn it all down. Every connection, every alliance, every person who might be compromised. We start fresh. Dante, I started. He looked at me, and the love and terror in his eyes stole my breath. You offered to leave me, to sacrifice yourself for peace. I thought. No. He pulled me against him. You don't get to sacrifice yourself. Not for me. Not for my family. Not for anything. Because Ava, you're not my weakness. You're my strength. The only thing in this world that makes me want to be better instead of just surviving. Then what do? We finish this, tonight. And then, he paused, and then I'm done, with all of it. What? I'm walking away from the family, from the empire, from everything my father built. His voice was steady, certain. I'll make sure Marco and my mother are protected. But I'm done living this life. Because I want a life with you, a real one, where I'm not looking over my shoulder or counting bodies or choosing between love and duty. Tears streamed down my face. You'd do that? For me? I'd do anything for you. And when he kissed me, it tasted like hope and goodbye and new beginnings, all at once. The Rossis came for us at midnight. We were ready. Dante had spent the evening making calls, pulling in favors, activating every alliance he'd built over 15 years. Marco coordinated security. Vittoria moved valuable documents to secure locations. And I, despite Dante's protests, loaded weapons. You don't have to do this, he said, watching me check the safety on a handgun. Vincent can take you somewhere safe. We've been through this. I'm staying. Ava. Dante. I set down the gun, moving to him. I chose you. That means I choose all of this. The danger, the violence, the consequences. So stop trying to protect me from decisions I've already made. He pulled me into his arms, holding me like I might disappear. If something happens to me, nothing will happen. But if it does, Vincent has instructions. Money for your mother's care. A new identity if you need it. Everything you'd need to start over. I don't want to start over. I want to finish this. Together. The first explosion rocked the building at 12:47 a.m. Dante's emergency protocols kicked in. Immediately reinforced doors, panic rooms, escape routes. But Antonio hadn't sent a small team. He'd brought an army. South perimeter breached. Marco's voice crackled over the radio. 12 hostiles, armed with automatics. Fall back to secondary positions, Dante commanded, his voice calm despite the chaos. Let them come to us. The next hour was a blur of gunfire and tactical movements. Dante's men held the line, picking off Rossi soldiers with the precision of trained operators. But they kept coming. I stayed in the control room with Vincent, monitoring cameras, calling out positions. It felt cowardly until Dante's voice came through my earpiece. You're my eyes up there. Keep feeding me intel. So I did. Tracked movements, identified threats, guided our people away from ambushes. And I watched Dante fight controlled, efficient, lethal. This was what he'd been trying to protect me from. The monster he became when people he loved were threatened, but even monsters could bleed. Dante's hit. Marco's voice panicked. West corridor. He's down. My heart stopped. Vincent, stay here. Vincent was already moving. Keep the cameras running. Guide Marco to him. The next 5 minutes were the longest of my life. I watched on screens as Marco reached Dante, as Vincent provided cover fire, as they dragged him back toward safety. How bad? I demanded over the radio. Shoulder wound, Marco panted. He'll live. But Ava, we're pinned down. They've blocked our exit routes. I scanned the cameras frantically. Then I saw at a gap in the Rossi line, a loading dock they'd left exposed because it looked structurally unsound. Marco, listen. Loading dock 3. It looks damaged, but it's reinforced underneath. Dante had it built that way on purpose. How do you know that? Because he told me. When he was showing me the estate, explaining all his paranoid security measures. I pulled up the schematics. Go now, before they realize. I held my breath as I watched them move, Dante half-conscious between Marco and Vincent. They reached the loading dock, slipped through, and then they were clear. We're out, Marco confirmed. Heading to the safe house. I sagged with relief until I realized the Rossis were regrouping. Heading toward the control room. Heading toward me. Vincent. I called over the radio. They're coming. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone except me or Marco. You hear me? No one. I locked it just as the first impact hit. They were trying to break through. I grabbed the gun I'd loaded earlier, hands shaking. The door wouldn't hold forever. Then silence. Footsteps in the hallway. Voices speaking Italian. The door handle turned. I raised the gun, finger on the trigger. Ava, it's me! Dante's voice. I nearly sobbed with relief, throwing open the door. He stood there, blood-soaked and swaying, but alive. Behind him, police lights flashed blue and red through the windows. What? Don Vitale called in the commission's tame cops. Told them the Rossis violated neutral ground. Started a war. He leaned against the doorframe. It's over. Antonio's in custody. His men are scattering. And you? Clean. Officially, we were defending our property from an illegal assault. His lips quirked. Helps to have judges on the payroll. I should have been horrified. Instead, I threw my arms around him, careful of his wounded shoulder. Don't ever do that again, I whispered. Do what? Get shot or fall in love with a woman who makes me want to live instead of just survive? Both. Either. I don't care. Just don't leave me. He pulled back enough to look at me. And despite the blood and exhaustion, his eyes were clear. I meant what I said earlier. I'm done with this life. Marco can have the empire. I'm walking away. And doing what? I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. With you. If you'll have me. I kissed him then, tasting blood and hope and the future we were choosing. I'll have you, I whispered against his lips. Monster and all. I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving I can be more than that. I know you will. Outside, sirens wailed. The Rossi family was being dismantled. The war was ending. And inside, in the ruins of a battle we'd somehow survived, Dante Caruso held me like I was the most precious thing he'd ever fought for. Because I was. The cafe in Florence smelled like espresso and fresh pastries. I sat at a corner table, translating documents for a legal firm remote work that paid well and let me live anywhere. Across from me, my mother studied a photograph, her expression confused but content. Who is this? She asked in Italian, pointing to herself. That's you, Mama, I said gently, when you were young. She smiled, that sweet, lost smile that used to break my heart. Now I just treasured these moments of peace. The bell above the door chimed. I looked up to see Dante, carrying groceries and wearing an expression of domestic contentment that would have shocked anyone who knew him 6 months ago. They had those tomatoes you like, he said, kissing my temple before sitting down. And Elena wants to know if we're coming to dinner Sunday. Elena had followed us to Italy, couldn't stand the thought of Dante cooking for himself, she'd claimed. Really? I think she'd wanted to make sure this crazy plan actually worked. It was working. Dante had done exactly what he'd promised, walked away. Marco ran the Caruso empire now, with Vittoria's guidance. Dante had kept enough connections to ensure his family's safety. But otherwise, he was out. We'd spent a month in hiding while the fallout settled. Then we'd come here, to Tuscany, to the region my grandmother had loved. Dante bought a villa, started learning Italian properly, discovered he liked cooking. And slowly, so slowly, the monster I'd met became the man I'd always believed he could be. How's the translation work? He asked, stealing a piece of my pastry. Tedious but profitable. You? He'd started a security consulting firm using his expertise to help legitimate businesses protect themselves. It was strange watching him apply the same tactical mind to legal problems instead of criminal ones. Meeting with a tech company next week. They want advice on protecting their executives. No explosions required? Not even one. He grinned, and my heart still skipped at the sight. My mother stood suddenly. I'm tired. Her nurse is waiting upstairs, Dante said, already standing. I'll take her. I watched him guide my mother gently toward the stairs, speaking to her in careful Italian, and felt overwhelming gratitude for this complicated, damaged, beautiful man who'd learned how to be soft. When he returned, he slid into the seat beside me instead of across. "I have something for you. Dante, we talked about this. No more expensive gifts." "It's not expensive." He pulled out a small box too small for jewelry. I opened it to find a key. "What's this?" "A bookshop, 2 streets over. The owner's retiring, selling it for almost nothing." I thought. He paused, suddenly uncertain. "I thought maybe you'd want to run it. Use your languages. Build something that's yours." Tears pricked my eyes. "You bought me a bookshop?" "I made an offer, pending your approval." He took my hand. "Ava, you gave up your dreams to take care of your mother. Now she's settled, safe, happy, and I want you to have something that makes you happy. Something that has nothing to do with me or my past or anything except what you want." I kissed him, long and deep, not caring that we were in public. "I want you," I whispered. "Everything else is just details." "Then you'll consider the bookshop?" "I'll do more than consider it." I studied the key, imagining shelves of books, a corner for Italian literature, maybe a cafe in the back, but on one condition. "Anything. You help me run it. At least until we figure out what we're doing." His smile was brighter than the Tuscan sun. "Deal." We sat there, hands entwined, watching Florence wake up around us. Somewhere across the world, his old life continued without him. Somewhere in this city, a bookshop waited to become ours. And somewhere between the monster he'd been and the man he was becoming, Dante Caruso had found something he'd never thought he'd have. "Peace. Ti amo," I whispered. "I love you too." He kissed my knuckles. "Every day, Ava. For the rest of our lives." It wasn't a fairy tale. There were still hard days when nightmares woke him, when old enemies surfaced, when the weight of everything he'd done sat heavy on his shoulders. But we faced them together, and in the end, that was all that mattered. The waitress who spoke perfect Italian, the Mafia boss who left his black card, and the love that saved them both.